It was supposed to be a fresh start, a simple rental house in the middle of nowhere, cheap and isolated. Olivia had needed the break, the silence, the empty space to reset after the mess her life had become. The house sat on the edge of an old field, with mountains looming in the distance and a thick forest curling around one side. It was exactly what she'd been looking for. The first night she noticed it, a door at the end of the hallway. It didn't match the other doors in the house. It was newer, painted a pale, glossy blue, and had a strange, heavy doorknob that didn't quite fit in her hand. The landlord had never mentioned an extra room, but curiosity got the better of her. She tried to open it. Locked. She shrugged it off, reasoning it must be a storage closet or an attic entrance. But as the days went on, she couldn't stop herself from staring at it, wondering why it was locked and who, or what, was inside. The second night she woke to the sound of scratching. At first it was faint, just a soft, persistent noise coming from the hallway. She lay still, hoping it was just a mouse, her mind replaying that old advice to ignore strange sounds in old houses. But the scratching grew louder, insistent, like nails scraping against wood from the other side of the blue door. She sat up in bed, heart hammering, straining to listen. Silence. Just the house settling, she told herself. But the unease stayed with her. The third night she heard footsteps. Bare, slow footsteps, dragging along the hallway and stopping right outside her door. She held her breath, frozen under her blanket, listening to something, someone, stand just beyond her door. Her mind spun, replaying every horror movie she'd ever seen, as she silently begged it to go away. After an eternity, she heard the steps retreat, moving back down the hallway toward the blue door. The scratching began again, louder, more desperate. The next day, she called the landlord, determined to figure out what was happening. The call went to voicemail, and she left a message, trying to keep her voice calm. She didn't mention the sounds, just asked casually, "What's with the locked door in the hallway?" The landlord never called back. By the fourth night, Olivia was terrified, but her curiosity had turned into an obsession. She needed to know what was behind that door. So, in the middle of the night, she gathered every tool she could find: a kitchen knife, a screwdriver, even a hairpin. Heart pounding, she crouched in front of the door, trying to pick the lock, but it wouldn't budge. It felt almost as if the door was pushing back. And that's when she heard the whisper, a low, shivering voice from the other side of the door, faint but unmistakable. It was calling her name, drawing out each syllable in a slow, rhythmic chant. Olivia. The voice sounded familiar, but wrong, distorted, like a tape played at the wrong speed. She stumbled back, nearly tripping over her own feet, feeling a chill seep into her bones. Something was watching her. She could feel it. She ran to her bedroom, locked the door, and shoved a chair in front of it for good measure. She lay in bed, wide-eyed, as the scratching returned, louder than ever. It sounded furious now, like something was trying to claw its way through the door and down the hallway toward her. And then she heard it, a distinct, sharp click. She held her breath, heart racing, and listened. The blue door had unlocked itself. Her mind reeled as she heard the slow creak of the door opening, followed by the sound of footsteps. They were deliberate, heavy, echoing down the hallway, closer, closer, until they stopped outside her bedroom. In the dim glow of the moonlight, she saw the handle of her bedroom door start to turn, a slow, twisting motion, like a hand was gripping it on the other side. Her entire body froze, paralyzed with dread as the door inched open, revealing a sliver of darkness beyond. And then she saw it, a figure, just barely visible, standing in the doorway. It looked like her, only wrong, its face twisted, eyes hollow, mouth stretched in a grin that seemed to mock her fear. It stepped closer, its movements jerky and unnatural, its eyes locked on hers. "Olivia," it whispered, voice dripping with malice. "I've been waiting for you." As it lunged forward, she let out a scream, stumbling back. But the figure was faster, closing in on her, its cold hands wrapping around her wrists, pulling her toward the hallway. The last thing she saw before the darkness closed in was the blue door swinging shut, trapping her inside with it, and a low, satisfied whisper. "Now you're mine." The house fell silent, waiting, patiently, for its next visitor.